Today we learn the truth about Kezan, the Goblin starting zone. When you first create a Goblin character, you are hit with the sense that the Isle of Kezan is highly populated and dense with pool parties, machinery, mines, trash, luxury, etc. But how big truly is Bilgewater Port? Let's jump in to uncrafting the Goblin starting zone, Kezan. For this video, I would like to give a shout out to an incredibly small YouTube channel named Trumbull. I doubt that this person is still on YouTube since the creator hasn't made a video in over 12 years, but still I am a chemist, and as a chemist I must give credit to my sources. So thank you, Trumbull. Video link is in the description in case you want to check it out. To get behind the giant industrial walls of Bilgewater Port, you must first have obtained the keys to the hot rod item during the quest Rolling with My Homies. You'll need to head to this pipe to the west of KTC headquarters shown on your map here, and you're going to want to travel as far along the pipe as possible in order to reach this particular part. Now, once your tiny goblin self is underneath this section of the pipe, you can grow your character using the keys to the hot rod, and you should be able to jump out of bounds. Now, I messed up here the first time, but was able to perform the glitch after a couple tries. Next, you will need to do the exact same thing we just did, except you'll need to jump on the hot rod when you're underneath the lip of this building here. And it's that simple to get out of bounds. I will say that there is a good chance that you could probably do this with a Vicro drinking helm or some other way to grow your character, but since we already are given the keys to the hot rod, literally anyone that plays WoW can perform this glitch. Alright, we are out of bounds in the Isle of Kezan in the Goblin starting zone. Immediately, immersion brought on by the massive industrial type buildings is completely destroyed. It's a facade and there's not much out here as we've all been led to believe, city-wise anyway. Not nearly what was expected at all. This is the truth of Kezan. However, that does not mean that this is a boring area to explore by any means. I think it's quite amazing to see all these random tubes and pipes going to and fro as they have a mind of their own, as well as seeing the hollow buildings, and we also have much more than just the city itself to explore. We have the entire island to explore. Let's begin by traveling around this little area here. I wasn't sure how stable the environment was, so I just kind of walked pretty slowly. I just stayed around the area where I had just glitched out of bounds until I was sure that the ground wasn't just going to fall below me. There are quite a few fig buildings out here, and the developers at that time truly knew how to make a city look and feel much bigger than it truly was. Interestingly enough, none of the buildings have any hit detection, and at one point I even saw something I've never seen in any exploration I've ever done. I got close to this building here, and it almost looks like I clipped the camera between the texture and the wall itself. It leaves a weird orange color, and I thought it was worth pointing out. Very strange. Now we get to the biggest part of the out of bounds area. This is where we can truly see how large the island of Kezan was. Now, I can't show all of this area, but I will point out some interesting stuff, and I will show the general travel along the coast here. As we travel to the eastern side of the volcano, it wraps all the way around. All along the edges of the cliffside, we can also see that there are various sandbanks, which is a little weird. And it also looks like the water is quite shallow, which is definitely odd, but there will be more information on the ocean stuff later. Here is the first jagged texture that I've seen so far, a sure sign that we are certainly out of bounds, and it isn't too weird of a jagged texture, but I thought it was worth pointing out anyway. As I moved on, the volcano became immensely more steep, and it made navigating very difficult. Thankfully, in the hot rod, you don't take any fall damage, so even though I fell a great distance here, it didn't really matter. I tried my absolute best to get higher on the volcano, but never had much luck with it. Maybe I would be able to do so on the other side of the cliffs. At this point, the isle definitely became too steep to travel on anymore, and I kept falling down the cliffside. It was also getting quite lonely out here, so I decided to turn on the radio for a bit. After trying for a bit, I decided that it was time to move on and head back to the main area in order to try exploring the other side of the mountain. On the way to the other side, I made sure to specifically go underneath these buildings where we first glitched out of bounds. They're pretty weird from the underside, and I also wanted to specifically go underneath this type of building because I don't think I had been underneath one yet, as there were only a couple of them out here that were, a little bit more rare. But sadly, there wasn't much to see. There is an exhaust post here, which is definitely interesting though. It's kind of weird. While looking through this area, I also saw a pipe that piqued my curiosity and I accidentally fell. With a little difficulty I got back up and I finally got back on track to travel along the western side of the isle. I never went back to that pipe, maybe I should have, I don't know if there's anything over there, but it kind of just looked like kind of a dead area. Hopefully this side of the island was a little bit more promising. It definitely had a much wider expanse on the cliffside anyway, so it was a little bit easier to navigate. After exploring the isle for a little bit, there wasn't really a whole lot to see on this side either, and it became very steep. Unfortunately, I ended up losing my footing here and I fell all the way down to the shoreline. I guess it's time to explore the ocean area. I was correct in thinking that this area is super shallow, but it's still so strange to me. This ocean is so large and my character feels so small. Well, I mean, we are a goblin, so, you know, duh. I did my best to get around the backside of the island. I was successful, but there really wasn't much to see here either. There definitely were a few weird textures though. Here's probably one of the weirdest parts of the outer area. It's a strange sand jut and just some shallow water around it. It's definitely weird, but nothing too crazy. It just stuck out to me more than most of the other areas around here. I finally decided to see what is in the ocean beyond the sandbank. And funnily enough, when I did, and I discovered the South Seas, my character actually leveled up. I just thought that was kind of humorous. The ocean here doesn't seem too special, except I can see the edge of it here, which is weird, but I of course cannot use an underwater mount just yet on this character. Maybe I'll stay here to get to level 20 and, you know, maybe I'll be able to, you know, search the oceans a little bit more, but I don't know if I'm going to do that. Eventually we make it back to the front of the island, and there actually is an out-of-bounds oil rig here. We sadly can't climb onto it, but I thought I'd at least like to try. Weirdly enough though, OBS, it didn't work correctly and I did lose a little bit of footage of this beautiful oil rig, but this is really all there is to see with it, and there are a few on the coastline that you actually can't access inbounds. This one just happens to be out of bounds. Next we travel to the other side of the raceway. There's this huge weird bridge thing here that looks like it can be removed at will. You can actually jump onto this inbounds with a rocket boost, but we want to get to the out of bounds pathway. Here we can get a good look at how the pathway looks underneath, but we can also see that the pathway is not actually as smooth as the paths inbound. Well, that's really about it. Let's take the road less traveled down an off-beaten, janky racetrack. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Leaving a like lets me know that you liked it, and more importantly, it lets YouTube know that you liked it, and it'll show it to more people. And if you want to hop on the pre-1000 sub train, then you are welcome aboard. Thank you all for watching.